Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of research now showing that growth mindsets, the way we're doing it, isn't working. It's not that growth mindsets aren't important, they absolutely are. But the way we're going about doing the interventions in schools isn't having the impact we wanted. So, Michael, it's a real pleasure to be talking to you today about this stuff because I know we've got some work coming up together, and I really want to spend a little bit of time exploring this idea of why our current growth mindset interventions aren't working. And in fact, as Carol Dweck said recently, you know, it's even more complex than we imagined. We didn't understand the complexity of implementation when we started this work. So, what would you like to ask me? Oh,
so I mean, we're going to be working together, and we've planned this program, online program with Acumus, which is a train the trainer. And my big concern is for my Acumus stakeholders is, hey, growth mindset really big a couple years ago. People coming back saying the interventions aren't working. How is this program going to be any different from what people might have experienced over the last couple of years?
Yeah, look, a lot of what's been happening over the past few years has, you see it in social media. It's all about teaching about growth mindsets. You tell kids, yeah, this is fixed, this is growth, do that please. You say, change your words, change your mindset. And that idea, we've all seen that poster, change your words, change your mindset, but it actually gets the message exactly back to front. It's not change your words, change your mindset. It's change your mindset and then your words will change. And while we've been acting on all these actions, we haven't been doing the really hard work, which is about changing students' beliefs. We're not talking about a topic of mindset. We're talking about people's underlying beliefs, which it turns out are really hard to change and you can't do in a one-off workshop. So this is why we're doing this work together over an extended period of time, training your leaders up in your schools to say, look, this is what the work's all about. Let's get away from some of these social media myths and misunderstandings. Talk about what it really means to fill the environment of the school with positive mindset movers so that we can help students develop a more growth-orientated mindset.
All right. And, another kind of idea that comes to me and things I've been reading about is growth mindset isn't growth. That one confuses the heck out of me. Can you please talk me through that one?
Yeah, look, it's absolutely true. That's probably one of the 2 or 3 big misunderstandings about this work, is that a growth mindset's not growth. All it is the understanding that growth is possible. It's just an idea that lives in your head. But what it does is it gets you off your bum and doing something. But if you don't do the right something, then you still don't grow. Look, I've got a slide I'll share with you around this idea that the idea here is that a growth mindset only works when you do the work. And for that matter, you've got to do the right sort of work. And that's why in the workshop we're going to be learning about, I talk a lot about this idea of learning agility. And the idea of learning agility is that an agile learner is someone who not only understands that growth is possible, that's the mindset part, but also understands how to go about achieving the growth. Because you've heard the catchphrase, the growth mindset catchphrase, haven't you? The not yet. Have you started to notice that in a lot of schools and a lot of settings, that not yet has been turning into still not yet? Because we promise the kids they're capable of growth, but if we don't teach them how to achieve that growth, then they fail to actually get to where we want them to go. So this work combines not just mindset, but also this idea of habits of mind, the right sort of behaviours that lead to growth. And this idea of Anders Ericsson's around virtuous practice that describes the process we have to go through in order to achieve this growth. So as we're working with schools to help them implement strategies that actually make a difference to students' mindsets, we've got to work with not just the beliefs, but also the understanding of what it takes to achieve the growth. And that's why we'll be talking about agile learners as well.
Okay, and agile learners and mindset continuum, these are all a lot of resources that you've been developing over, a number of years. And I think it's really great that you're going to be sharing and giving, literally giving all this content to the participants in this program so that they can develop their own professional development regimen within their own school context. But can you kind of go in a little bit more detail in this terms of the train the trainer about how all of this content is going to be used? Because you also talked about not only are we going to be using it in the course, but then the schools get to continue using it for all of their staff, which could be hundreds of people getting access to this, basically for free. What does that look like?
Yeah, so look, like we said, one of the reasons these current strategies aren't working is they're a little bit hit and run. It's a little bit like, come in, we'll tell you what growth mindset is, and I'll see you later and leave it up to you. Real school change doesn't happen like that. So what we're providing these schools that come on board with the program is I'm giving them access to a full online course to develop their teachers' habits of mind and the strategies they'll use that they can deliver as professional learning in school. Now, you don't do that in a day. You don't even do it in a week. You'll do that over the course of a year or more, depending on your individual strategies. So, and you'll have new staff that come in and people that leave, and you'll need to retrain. So my support and my commitment to those schools is to provide them with all the resources and the mentoring through me and Skype conversations like this. Skype. Who uses Skype anymore? Where did I say Skype from? But the online conversations that we can have to make sure that as you progress and helping teachers develop a more growth-orientated mindset and help them feel the environment with these little mindset movers, that you've got the support you need to do it. And you mentioned there too, the mindset continuum. Now that's not something everyone will know about. That we said before, one of the big misunderstandings about mindset was that it's not the growth, or it's just the understanding you can grow. One of the other big ones is this idea that there's two mindsets, like fixed and growth, have that one. And it's just not like that. In the real world, there's not two types of people. In the real world, our mindset falls somewhere along this continuum. And our job as teachers, as school leaders, isn't to instill or install or ask students to adopt or even necessarily understand a growth mindset. Our job is to help students develop an increasingly growth-oriented mindset. And I'll just show the listeners now this idea. This is my continuum. And what it shows you, hopefully it'll click through, here we go, is this idea that the different ways students interact with the elements of a mindset change over time. And so what I'm going to show the schools and provide them with tools to do this is to provide an environment that just nudges, nurtures, nourishes an increasingly growth-orientated mindset in students. Because one of the reasons current strategies failed was that we went into schools and expected what we do to result in students having a growth mindset. Now, I don't know about you, but how many interventions have you seen where teachers have gone blah, 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 teach, and suddenly all the kids had a growth mindset? Not too many?
No.
So the way I do it is to reset those expectations. That success with this work won't be measured by the number of students with a growth mindset. Because you set yourself up to fail if you think that's going to happen. Success is going to be measured by how much more growth-oriented they've become. And as Carol Dweck says, that this work, growth mindset is not a declaration. It's a journey, and it's a journey through this mindset continuum as we become more and more growth-oriented.
James, I just want to thank you for kind of dispelling those myths and helping not only myself, but our audience, because Acumus is really fortunate to have you doing this program. But just really explain for us how that's all going to work, because to be honest with you, change at the level you're talking about is going beyond just a few minds. It's actually really impacting the culture. And quite a few schools have already come back to me saying they're really excited about this. And what you've just shared with me is really just come over the line. So thank you again for taking your time today to explain all that.
Look, it's been a real pleasure, and I can't tell you how much I'm looking forward to this ongoing work with schools, because as much as it's empowering to work with individual teachers in their classroom and equip them with the tools they need, the real shift comes when we do it with the whole school. And when we change that culture, we talk about the structures and policies that we put in place that support what teachers are doing in schools. Because, I know we want to wrap up here, but in a classroom, you can do so much. But when the school provides you with an environment that allows you to nurture that growth mindset, when it's part of your policies and practices, when you connect with the parent community and the broader community in really powerful and meaningful ways through assessment and all sorts of stuff, the results can be profound. So to do this over a period of time and support teachers the way we've got planned with this ACAMUS program, and there'll be a link down the bottom somewhere, for schools that are interested, really, really excited.
And you know what? You've kind of opened the door for me to make one last comment about all this, because you talked about the ability to have you almost for a whole school year do this program. And for a lot of our schools that are in Southeast Asia and China, they can't afford to be flying you in or out. This is an opportunity to get direct access to you through this online medium that has proven to be very effective. Just recently, I was reading a report from the Education Endowment Foundation in the UK that actually showed that professional development delivered online can be just as impactful as face-to-face. It really comes down to how it's structured, what those learning outcomes are, and really seeing them through. Not just as, like you said, this kind of drive-by PD, or it's all about just kind of extending it out, continually supporting it, and you're providing us that opportunity to do so, but empowering people within the school to actually make the change happen. And I think that's probably the most powerful component of all this.
So I'm really looking forward to doing this. When do we start? We start in November, is that right?
November, yep. November 13th is when everything kicks off, and it will go through to the beginning of February.
Beautiful. And of course, that's just the formal part. The ongoing support and the resources that the school has access to goes on for, look, to be honest, I don't give up on schools that are committed to this work. So although the official part goes for a year, schools that are wanting to reach out to me that have made this commitment, I'll always work with them. It's always good.
Great. Thank you, James.
Let's wrap it up. Thanks very much, Michael. Talk to you soon.